So I've been watching The Boys season 5, and I wanted to make a video for episode 1 and 2 last weekend, but it just never came together, so I didn't make one. But I watched episode 3 this past Wednesday, so I wanted to talk about it because I have a lot of thoughts, and I do want to make this kind of quick. I don't want this to be like a whole thing because I'll probably do like a post-mortem review once this season is over and the series is officially finished. But I wanted to start with the good. So the good is, of course, Anthony Starr as Homelander is killing it. He remains such a good actor. It's a crime he's not in more things, but I feel like he's going to be pretty typecast now, where the Homelander archetype is going to be what he falls into for being an actor. He just nails it with the subtle facial expressions, the tone, the body language. I just couldn't think of a more perfect Homelander. I think Karl Urban as Butcher is also really good. I mean, the reality is that almost all of the actors and actresses are really good, save for, you know, like Ryan's actor, who I don't know his name, but like most kid actors, he's not very good. I mean, he's always not good either, but that's just kid actors. They're very hit or miss. Other good things. There are some funny moments. I mean, I want to talk about that and the stuff I don't like either, because it feels like it just doesn't feel as like sardonic as it used to. It feels very like the punchline is Ed. We'll just get into the stuff I don't like. So I've been a Boys fan since season 1, and that when did the Boys come out? Like 2018, 2019. So I've been a fan for a long time, and I am holding my opinion that I think this series should have ended at season 3, because it's just not good. It's not good anymore. And I'm someone who I do try to be positive with media. Like, I don't try to be so persnickety about it. This one's they're just not good. This is kind of the thematic equivalent of beating the dead horse, where everything just kind of meanders. You know, the crazy thing is I don't remember season 4. So I don't remember what happens in season 4. I remember, I lied. I remember the highest highlights of season 4. So I remember Samir, I remember Newman dying, Butcher sick, and that's kind of it. Which is telling, because I remember season 1, 2, and 3, but I get to 4 in my brain, and there's just big question marks, because I don't remember what happened. I really don't, and that's not good. That's a sign that your series has gone on too long. And I thought it reached its conclusion at season 3, which is why when season 3 shit the bed the way it did at the end, I was mad, because I thought that was the perfect conclusion to the series. But they went through all of these kind of mental gymnastics to make it so that Homelander wasn't killed, so that they could get 2 more seasons out. And it shows, because the season is just not very good. So far, the first 3 episodes are just kind of duds. It's all the same shit. It's just a different season. We gotta kill Homelander. Oh, but the boys they're infighting, and everybody hates Butcher because Butcher's such an asshole, but he's right, and emotional conflict and romantic conflict and like whatever it takes, but not really, because we're gonna change our minds 1,000 times. I mean, seriously, within the first 2 episodes, I think that Frenchie, Kimiko, Annie, and not Huey, because Huey remains pretty consistent, they all switch their minds on killing Homelander a bunch of times. It's like, we gotta kill Homelander, but we can't trust Butcher. But we gotta stop Butcher. But we can't have the virus. We can't have this. And I get that they're like soups, but at the end of the day, I guess the point is this is just like a trolley problem. It's like, do you kill 10,000 soups to save 8 billion humans? Again, this is a fucking trolley problem, but it's also not that complicated. The answer is yes. If you're a soup, like, Butcher is 1,000% right when he told Ryan in episode 3 that the world is safer without soups. It literally is safer without soup. Homelander is the number 1 threat. This is why I get so frustrated with it, is because they always lose sight of Homelander being fucking crazy. And they do this whole flip-flopping of their opinion, and then they fucking remember Homelander is crazy, and all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, we need to kill Homelander, that's right, that's the original mission, but we still can't trust that butcher. But fucking kill Homelander, holy shit, it is not this complicated. You should have killed him in season 3. I don't know what to tell you. I don't even know what happened in season 4. I don't fucking remember. It's honestly really frustrating. It's even more frustrating because season 5 is like season 4, which is like season 3, where there's all this stuff happening, but there's all of these little, like, there's all this little stupid shit that's happening that realistically, so I want to qualify this. I'm someone who I can suspend my disbelief for most things. I try really hard to not dislike things. I try really hard to like things. I loved Scream 7. I try really hard to like things. I want to like the things that I'm watching and listening to and spending my time on. However, there's it's like a graph, right? There's only so much disbelief that I can suspend before you're just asking me to ignore everything. Ignore your eyes and ears and your brain and just watch this. And that's not going to happen because I'm not an asshole. I don't actually turn my brain off to enjoy things. I choose to ignore things that might be stupid, or to be like, this is like Scream logic, like Ghostface not dying. Okay, he gets stabbed, but he's not gonna die. And I accept that. You might hear my dogs walking around in the background. And I accept that Ghostface isn't gonna die because I can suspend my disbelief for it. It's also really not that big of a deal. And I know that going into it. But when someone as smart as Stan Edgar, who has sat on these V1 files for fucking decades, who is like this 25D chess player with everybody in the universe, I start to not be able to suspend my disbelief anymore. Because you have Stan Edgar, who's sitting on these files for decades, who doesn't realize that it's not Hope's Peak, this isn't Danganronpa. Harmony Peak or something. You have this word Harmony Peak that shows up a bunch of times in almost every document referencing V1, and Stan Edgar doesn't pick up on that. Lest I remind everybody that we're also at the point in the world where AI canonically exists in this universe. So why wouldn't Stan Edgar use any type of AI to decode anything that he said himself was never decoded, was never figured out? The boy, it takes the fucking boys to come in and be like, oh, wait a minute. I see that this Hope's Peak keep popping up. That's kind of weird. It's on like 50 of these 57 documents talking about V1. That might be something. And Stan Edgar is doing like the Drake laptop meme in the background. Like, what are you talking about? I've never noticed that. The fuck out of here with that. That's the point where that's something where you can say where I cannot suspend my disbelief. And also it's because I just respect the character of Stan Edgar a lot. And for you to tell me that this guy who's always been on top of everything is suddenly missing a very crucial and key thing, that our little ragtag group of the boys just comes in and like figures it out. I just fucking can't. I just can't do it. The show is asking me too much. What would have made more sense is Stan to be like, yeah, I realized that, but I didn't feel like looking into it, or something. You just have him write it off. Have him not be interested in it. Don't make him be shocked about this, because you've set up this character, again, to be like 7,000 steps ahead of everybody, and all of a sudden, he just didn't notice that one thing. Just get the fuck out of here. I wasn't born yesterday. And then another thing is like Zoe camping out in the back of Frenchie and Kimiko's van to go to her dad. Again, it's all of these little bits and pieces of things that are happening that are making it really difficult for me to suspend my disbelief. Where you say, that's weird. That's interesting. And it's also played totally straight. Like, how didn't Kimiko or Frenchie realize that there was a 15-year-old girl in the back of their van? Which, by the way, is just a regular work van that is totally open in the back. They didn't look out back. They didn't hit a bump and she made a sound. It's stupid, and it's all to get to that point to be where she can be reunited with her dad so her dad can fuck off. Because the other thing that makes you think is back in episode 1 or 2, when they determine that they need to break Frenchie out of the concentration camp or freedom camp, whatever it's called, so that he can work on the virus. And then you get to the school and Samir's already got the virus made. So why did they have to break them out? Why did they make that the linchpin for having to break them out? Why did all of a sudden Vought say that after like a year that they needed to execute Frenchie, and Huey to draw out Butcher and Starlight when they've been fucking around for a year? And again, Butcher's thing is he says we have to break Frenchie out so that he can work on the virus and make the virus, but the virus is already made. So why are we breaking Frenchie out? Oh, so that in episode 3, Zoe can meet up with Samir and they can bleach the virus that's been made that was proven to be effective in episode 2, so that now Frenchie has something to do, because outside of that, all he does is make moony eyes at Kimiko and do little quips. Okay. Again, like, it's one of those things where it's like, I can get behind breaking them out of the camp, but I cannot get behind, it's hard for me to be like, yeah, we gotta break Frenchie out so he can make the virus, but then you get to the virus and it's already made. So it's like, pick a different motive. This isn't working. Any motive would have been fine. Any motive would have been okay. You could have just said, I wanted to break Frenchie out because I wanted to break the 3 of them out because they're me mates and I need them to help me take down Homelander. I don't know. There's 1,001 reasons. They just took the worst one to pick because, again, the problem was already solved. But then they had the solution and they created a problem for it. Again, with the bleaching of it when Samir meets up with Zoe. Now they need Frenchie to make the virus. I'm sure he'll put some kind of virus together, and now Frenchie has something to do. And I want to talk about Kimiko also. I like her character. Does Karen sound like that normally, Kimiko's actress? I don't think she does. There's something about her voice. It just sounds unnatural. It's weird. It's every time she talks, I think, is this ADR? What is this? It doesn't sound like that is the voice that should be coming out of her mouth, and it sounds weird. And Karen speaks English, so this is why every time it happens, I turn to Andrew and I'm like, does her voice sound weird? Like, what is that? And also, I hate the way they make her talk. This TikTok Zoomer, ultra vulgar. It's just not funny. I get the joke. It's not funny. It's the same reason why, like, fucking Hell of a Boss or Has Been Hotel isn't funny. Like, if the dialogue is sex, then and fuck and all that kind of stuff, it's not funny dialogue. There's no punchline to that. What is the joke? The joke is that she swears a lot and she's vulgar. Okay, you're literally in a show with William Butcher who says cunt every second sentence. Like, it's not, I'm not clutching my pearls or thinking you're edgy because you're making the Asian woman, like the petite Asian woman, say sex and fuck and watch porn. Like, I'm a 33-year-old woman. This stuff does not shock me. She just sounds terrible. Whoever made this decision to make her like this ultra zoomer Gen Alpha speaker, even though she's like 30, needs to get fired. That's such a bad move. Just make her speak normal. Why? Or don't make her speak at all. I liked her better when she didn't talk. Women be quiet and sit down type deal, right? It's just, it gives me a headache. It gives me a fucking headache. And then it's just meandering to do things. And I hate Huey. I hate Huey now. He used to be a good character. He used to be a good straight man. The problem is that he's just like, he's too much of a straight man now, where it's like they dabbled in him being bad in season 3, which I think worked really well. And now all of a sudden he's back to being like this pure-hearted little fluff ball. And I just hate it. I hate it so much. I think Huey's more interesting when he's not the straight man. I don't think the boys needs a straight man is the thing. I don't think that the group needs a guy to be the straight man. And the other thing with that is that they're all kind of turned into the straight man, where they hate Butcher. I don't even remember why they hate Butcher, because he's like an asshole. Okay. And what? Again, Homelander is like this extinction level threat to humanity, and they're tunneling around because like Butcher is a douchebag. Butcher's the only one who has actually remained fairly consistent in his morals. Except for this season, I don't really like what they're doing with him either, because like his two bits are like being a broody asshole and saying cunt and like staring at the camera stoically. I I don't like anything that they're doing with the characters because it just feels so bad. It feels like the end of a series that's gone on too long, that should have ended 2 seasons ago, and it didn't because they pulled a bunch of shit out of their ass and extended it superficially for no reason because there was money on the table or a contract that said that you had to, and the artistic creativity is just gone. And it feels tired. This show feels tired now. I watch it and I don't enjoy myself. I find myself scoffing and rolling my eyes more than anything else because it's all just so tired. Even the gore is tired. Like, okay, funny, yeah, blood and guts and gore and sex and people dying in funny ways. So funny. But none of the main characters die. So there's no, like, tension or escalation of thinking that, like, there's a fake out Huey death in episode 3, and, like, obviously you know Huey's not gonna fucking die. So when Starlight starts crying, I literally, Andrew said, he's not dead, he's the main character. Yes, because Huey gets thrown in the fucking walls and punched and shit like that, and he's okay despite being a normal human, which has been established in this show that normal humans take damage of stuff like that, except for Huey and MM and Frenchie, because they're the main characters and they have this insane plot armor. Huey gets thrown into a wall by Soldier Boy in episode 2, and there's no lasting consequence in episode 3, which is not good because he should be like, oh, my back or something. I don't need him to be like bitching about his injuries, but at least acknowledge that happened. Not acknowledging it isn't any better because we all saw it happen. It's just goofy. It's unfortunate because I did like this show a lot in season 1 and season 2. I love season 2. It's probably like one of my favorite seasons of TV ever. I even quote like season 2 a lot, like Girls Get It Done, all that shit. Like I quote that all the time. Season 3, I started realizing that this was gonna do the slow march to a painful death. It is underwhelming and it's gone on for too long and it's overstayed its welcome. Because again, to me, it's just not that interesting anymore. It feels like something that is dying of cancer in front of me, and William Butcher literally has cancer. But it feels like the personification of watching someone slowly die of cancer and all of the agency being lost to this disease thanks to Amazon Prime. And that's the other thing too. This is not really, I don't think this is this isn't the showrunner's fault, the writer's fault. Having a fucking 2-minute commercial break every 5 minutes on the subscription service that I pay for so I can watch this shit. The fuck is that about? So far this season, I've noticed that there is a shit ton of commercials when you're trying to watch this. And it fucking is so annoying because you do 5 minutes of watching a show for 2 minutes of commercial while Amazon Prime tries to push shit into your fucking cart so that you can buy it. And it's such a fucking buzzkill. I hate commercials during things. That's why I bought a streaming service. Why don't I just go back to fucking satellite cable if I'm gonna have commercials? That's right. Because then I can't watch any of the shit that I want because there's 1,000 fucking streaming services now that all have ads during their shit. This is not a streaming service tirade video. I happen to notice this especially during The Boys, because The Boys is like the only TV show that I actually watch, because I don't watch a lot of TV shows because I just don't find them that interesting, because I find that they wear out their welcome very, very quickly with me, because there's always dumb shit that starts happening. Like the only TV shows who didn't wear their welcome out with me were like Moral Orel and Tuca and Birdie, and those got canceled, which is why they didn't. So yeah, there's just a lot of things I don't like during this. I think The Deep remains a highlight. Of course, he's always funny. I love his Andrew Tate personification. It's so funny. It's so obvious. The Deep is just such a dude that tries to fit in, and he can't fit in anywhere. I'm sad that A-Train died. He's definitely one of my favorite. He was one of my favorite. He is one of my favorite characters, and it's unfortunate that he died. I'll miss him. He grew on me over the past couple seasons. That was a character arc done very well. Especially the callback to him. What ultimately led to his death was moving to avoid hitting a girl crossing a street, and that made him trip and or crash out into the woods, which is what made Homelander catch up to him. That's a nice little callback to the instigating incident for this entire series is when A-Train ran through Robin. So I thought that was a nice little callback. But outside of that, it's just not good. There's all this I can't get over the Stan Edgar thing. I just can't. It's just so hard for me to suspend my disbelief for this very important piece of information, because Stan Edgar is not a fool. He is not someone who gets fooled. He is someone who is always ahead. And for him to be like, I don't think there is any V1, and then the boys come in and they start reading these documents and they figure it out that this place exists, and for Stan Edgar to just be like, surprise Pikachu, it's just like, no. I just reject this. I don't believe this is something that would happen. You're lying to me. I'm being lied to. I'm being gaslit. And then, of course, the Starlight Huey drama. I just could not give a shit less about the romance in this series. They need to step away from it, because this is not a romance series. And Starlight just crashing out on Huey and being like, it was easier when you weren't here, and then leaving. Again, they're doing all of these things that just meander, because this whole thing could be solved in 2 episodes. But they have to draw it out and drag it out because they're contractually obligated to have 8 episodes or 7 or 10 episodes, whatever the amount is. So they do all this stupid shit and make characters act like dumbasses so that they can continue to drag it out. Like Starlight just like leaving Huey. I get that she was avoiding the conversation but they could have made it so she didn't just like dip out. I hate when shows just don't make characters talk to each other, especially characters who are in a romantic relationship. There's literally no reason why they wouldn't just talk to each other, especially when they've been emotionally vulnerable with each other before. There's just no reason. There's a lot of more things I could go on about this, but I feel like I would just be repeating myself, and I'd be doing that really annoying like cinema sins type thing where it's like, that's a plot hole ding. Like, no, my frustration with this is the overall like little conveniences and contrivances that are building up, and characters just acting stupid because the show needs to go on. And I guess my biggest frustration can be boiled down to is that it's all just so predictable. Something happens and I say, scoff, I roll my eyes and I say, of course, because it doesn't do anything that is interesting or different anymore. Again, it's all very predictable. You know what's gonna happen before it happens. It doesn't leave you on your toes anymore. It's bad because, again, it makes the show boring. There's nothing that happens. There's little things that happen, but the overall, from episode to episode, it's 1 step forward, 10 steps back. And that's frustrating to watch as a viewer. And then they hyped up all these Gen V characters, and they still haven't shown up in 3 episodes in. They keep being like, where's Marie Moreau? What is Marie Moreau doing? Like, I don't know, put her on fucking screen. You got her. You have her contract. I know you pay for her actress. Like, don't just edge us for her to come in at the last minute and like pull the V out of Homelander's system or something. Have her be here now. Wouldn't it be so much easier if we had the Gen V cast where you had like Kat who could mind control Samir and tell him to do all the stuff? Like, wouldn't it just be so much easier if these people with very useful powers were just like in the show that you've already set up as existing in the universe and being, you know, in Starlight's camp? But I guess it would just solve the problem faster. So they have to give Marie Moreau and her crew and the Gen V crew like these little side quests. They have to go crawl different dungeons because they can't be in the main one right now. It's frustrating. Just because you allude to the Gen V kids doing their thing off camera doesn't mean that people aren't thinking about them. Because again, all I think about is, where is Marie Moreau? I know she's in cahoots with Starlight. She'd be pretty fucking useful right now. And Kat would be pretty fucking useful right now too. And so wouldn't Sam and these kids that have, again, pretty useful powers. Like, wouldn't it be more beneficial for them to have Kat around so that she could mind control Samir to do the virus? But again, like, this is why I'm saying is it's like, it's so predictable. It's so obvious. It's not doing anything interesting or new. It's doing all these little side quests for the characters so that they can't actually fight the boss yet, which is Homelander, because when they went and fought the boss in season 3, they did all this bullshit so that he couldn't actually die. Now they're trying to scramble to fill up the contractual runtime for things. And again, it's so obvious. It's just tired. Take old Yeller out back and put the boys down. It's okay. I've accepted that season 1 and 2 are peak, and you can just forget the rest of it because it ends after season 2. It's the Jujutsu Kaisen. The manga ends at 236 Cope. It's too bad because it's a TV show I actually enjoyed watching and looked forward to watching, and now it feels like a chore. It feels like a chore to sit through it. And the second that a TV show starts to become a chore is when I try to dip out of it because I could not give a shit less about TV shows. Anyway, I guess I want to cut it here because episode 4 is going to come out and I'm going to be pissed off about it again, and I'm going to make another video, and this one's gone on pretty long, and there, again, so many more points I can make. I just don't want to keep talking about it. I want to go do something else. I want to go play video games. I just watched The Boys season 5 episode 4, The King of Hell, or should be more aptly named, is the setup for the prequel spinoff that is going to be coming after The Boys, called Vought Rising, which is probably like one of the worst names in history. I don't know who made that up, but I hope they lost their job because that's so incredibly uninteresting sounding. Vought Revelations would have been better, which is the Soldier Boy prequel. But if anybody has ever watched The Office and you watched the final season, there was an episode during the final season where Dwight, his aunt dies. So then his sister and his brother and his nephew come over to bury her. They go through it, and at the end they say, well, now we gotta go and tend to the farm. That was supposed to be the pilot for the Dwight Schrute farm spinoff. That got terrible reviews. And this is exactly what this episode feels like. It feels like the importance of this episode was to set up the Vought Rising cast, because you have like Quinn, they talk about Bombsight, and this is all about Soldier Boy. And the next episode is like a reunion episode for the Supernatural cast are in it. So I believe that's gonna be, again, another setup for the Vought Rising thing. But there's a lot of heavy lifting going on for setting up the Vought Rising plot. It feels not so much like a pilot, but a like feelers for, do we think people are actually interested in this? Because even though we shot it, it's not like Hollywood's not afraid to axe things that they don't think will have a good return on investment. So anyway, I thought this episode was not very good. And that shouldn't be shocking because I haven't really liked any episode this season, but this one was particularly bad because it was filler in the purest form of filler, and really nothing really happened. There isn't a lot that goes on character-wise. They go to Hope's Peak and they don't find the V1, which is the goal. And the shit that happens at Hope's Peak is just, not only is it not interesting, but it's incredible. Like, I don't want chaos, but you like chaos, Frenchie, so we can't be together. And that's just so corny. So who wrote this? This is not interesting drama or good drama. This is not how people would talk to each other either. Like, you like chaos. So they go to Hope's Peak lab. They don't find the V1, but there is this older guy that the Soldier Boy knows, who is kind of implied to be his brother, but obviously not, solidified. He's become like a vine plant monster, and then he does like The Happening to them, where he releases like spores, and I'm not sure why they were like, it's the toxoplasmosis that cat urine has that can make people crazy. That's also not how that works. So it's just goofy the way that they do these things. Because like toxoplasmosis doesn't make you go crazy. It just makes you like have flu-like symptoms. like cat scratch fever. It's a more apt comparison would have been like if they'd been like, oh, this is like Mark Wahlberg's The Happening. Because at least that would have been a little bit respectable. Because they're basically doing The Happening, but not as funny or interesting as The Happening is.
Hot dogs get a bad rap. They got a cool shape. They got protein. You like hot dogs, right?
Because it's like vines and plants. It's stupid. It's stupid how it makes them all mad at each other and hate each other. That's like the driving force behind the conflict for this episode, is they all just bitch at each other and say what they really mean. It's because like the spores from this Quinn guy is making them act like that. again, it's just not very interesting because it's just a silly reason to get them to fight each other when there's other things that you could have done. And I also just didn't, like, why isn't Butcher using his superpowers to fight Huey or Mother's Milk? And it's just goofy that, like, Frenchie's not affected because of all the drugs he did, which is just like, oh, it altered my brain chemistry. Something that I also found kind of funny is during the Hoth Peak scenes is that, like, so Homelander and Soldier Boy go into the lab because Homelander's looking for the V1 also. And, you know, you have, like, all the boys fighting each other. And Frenchie's like, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. Butcher's, like, throwing Kimiko against, like, concrete walls. And they're, like, yelling and screaming at each other. And this entire time, I'm just thinking, like, why didn't Homelander hear them? It's just silly. The show is just asking you to do all the heavy lifting in the disbelief department, where it's just not giving you really anything else to make it interesting so that you would want to do that, because it's just episode's not interesting. They shoot it kind of like it's supposed to be incredibly tense, and it's just not, because you know that, like, none of these main characters are gonna die in this mid-final season filler episode, which is a problem in and of itself that we have a filler episode in the final season. Not sure who made that decision. Not a very good one. But you know that they're not gonna die, because we need to get them to the end of the season. We need to get them to the series finale so that someone can do some kind of honorable sacrifice or whatever. They'll kill them all off in the most unceremonious way because subverting the meta or something. But it's just an overall boring episode. The fucking stuff with the Starlight and her dad is also incredibly interesting, because why do I give a shit about her dad? 5 seasons in, this is the final season, why do I care about her dad, who's been no contact with her for the entirety of her life, has like a I support Homelander front yard sign, hadn't talked to her for 20 some odd years, abandoned her, and then he's like, I kept the shoebox of all these memories, and she's like, oh, you do care. It's like, he could have called you. He fucking ghosted you for 20 some odd years, and now he's just like, I have a shoebox of all these paper clippings, so I'm so proud of you, and I went and saw your movie. And she's like, oh, my daddy does care about me. Like, no, bitch, he doesn't, because he would have picked up the phone and called you if he did. It's just crazy how her dad is like actually this really good person, but yet he abandoned his daughter and his wife, and he's like this Homelander supporter. He has a sign on his front yard, but yet he's actually like a very good, understanding guy who believes everything about Starlight, despite clearly hiding from her, first off, and second off, having a Homelander sign on his front yard. So it's just goofy. It's not needed. It's an unneeded thing. It was just something for Starlight to do so that she didn't have to be involved in the lab conflict, which I don't really understand why she couldn't have been involved in it, because it does this stupid thing where a character figures out their relationship problem off screen from the other character. It's not off screen, but away from the other character, where people in a romantic relationship get their romantic relationship troubles figured out and solved by a third-party person who is not involved in that relationship and has never been involved in that relationship, because her dad is like, we need to protect the ones we love, or some shit. And she's like, oh my god, that's me and Huey. And it's far less interesting, because if you just had the characters talk out their problems instead of having it solved by a third-party person, that's far more realistic. Especially her dad. Like, why does her dad give a shit? He hasn't cared for forever. I just think personally it's the lazy way to solve romantic drama between characters, where it's just like, oh, have a non-involved third-party character solve it all by having, this impeccable wisdom, when instead it would be more interesting for the characters to figure out their drama themselves. And then that's it, and it's resolved, and their relationship drama is resolved. Kimiko and Frenchie, even though they had this really awkward exchange last episode where Kimiko was like, I want kids, and Frenchie's basically like, I don't want kids. He didn't say it, but he implied it. This episode, she's like, I don't like chaos, but you do. You thrive in it, so we can't be together. So I guess they're broken up now, so I'm not really sure what the point of getting them together was. It's not important. Why are we doing these, like, will they, won't they scenarios in the final season? It's romance is not the boys' the strong suit. They should not be doing this. But it's just so weird to give Annie a side quest that doesn't have anything to do with anything that has been set up Maybe she's whining about her dad in the past. I don't know. But wouldn't it have been more interesting if she'd gone Marie Moreau or the Gen V kids and have like recruited them, or like at least got them up to speed on what was happening, that they were looking for the V1. But no, the Gen V kids remain MIA despite everybody saying that you need to watch Gen V to know the final seasons of The Boys. Again, Starlight goes on this stupid little side quest that doesn't do anything or mean anything or really add anything meaningful, besides I guess that she gets her daddy issues fixed. So, and we meet her little brother, who is a terrible kid actor, and I guess he's like this red-pilled incel gooner dude, which, like, haha, so funny. It's just like the lowest brow of humor possible. I will say that there was a funny scene in this episode where they're in the van after the Hope's Peak stuff. They're not talking, and Butcher turned on the radio and it's Mambo number 5, and they're all like super stoic and obviously disgruntled at what just happened. It's funny. That's a funny bit of comedy. It's like sardonic in nature. It's not in your face about the absurdity of the situation. The other thing that I found kind of annoying was that, again, they make the characters act stupid. This is because of the Sporus thing too, so that they can avoid doing anything that would be consequential for the final, right? So like Homelander gets trapped in armored room and he gets pure uranium, like enriched uranium vents to him, and it starts to kill him. Now Butcher comes across him in this weakened state where his skin is all bubbling and he's coughing up and he's like clearly gonna die. Instead of staying there to make sure that he doesn't escape, which Homelander ends up escaping obviously because he can't die here, he just calls him a cunt and then walks off. And it's like, why wouldn't you stay there and make sure he doesn't escape? He's clearly dying. It's killing him. I guess Homelander is weak to uranium now. Why is anybody afraid of him? Like, basically every country has access to enriched uranium. It's not like, this isn't like the 40s anymore where nobody has this ability to enrich uranium. It's really a technology that's been solved in this day and age. So it's just kind of weird to bring up this one very specific weakness at this very point. And it's to take Homelander, I guess, out of the running for the episode, which again, like, how did Homelander not hear them beating the shit out of each other in the basement? There's just a lot of little things that like build up that you're like, well, this is fucking stupid. It's like insulting that the show thinks that I'm not gonna pick up on these things. How, when Soldier Boy blasts Quinn, how didn't Frenchie, who was right under him, not get like obliterated? It's a concentrated nuclear beam. It literally fries the V out of people's bloodstreams. I just, again, it's one of those things where it's like, if you're paying attention and thinking too hard about it and not just like on your phone mindlessly listening to it, you're going to be like, that was kind of weird. Why did XYZ not happen? But it's to get everybody to the finale so that something crazy can happen and everybody could be like, oh, that was so crazy. I didn't expect that to happen. It's just buffoonery. It's what it is. It's bad writing, intentionally trying to artificially extend a conflict that could have been solved 100 times over, but of course we can't. And now we have like the Homelander wants to be God thing. I don't know. I just don't think that's very interesting either. I think that Homelander wanting to be God is just kind of dumb. It's like, you already have the president in your pocket. You already have people who like love you a lot. I get that like he's a narcissist and that's like his logical next step, and he's like losing his mind and like giving more into psychosis, but I just don't think it's that interesting. But I don't know, I just don't think it's that interesting. I don't think it's that interesting because I think Homelander should have died 100 times over in this series. There's so many like instances where he should have, but they don't actually kill off really main characters in this. Like A-Train was like the first major character to die. But even like thinking back to the end of season 3, it's not like Maeve died, despite taking a nuclear blast to the face. Again, there's no tension, because really nothing's gonna happen. Who's gonna die, like, next episode? Probably nobody. It's just not a good episode. I am officially putting Homelander on Fraud Watch after this episode, and stick around to find out why. So I just watched the 5th episode of season 5 of The Boys, and it's still not great. I don't really understand why we're still doing all this filler stuff. This episode was 80% filler and 20% interesting plot developments, if you can call it that. So I'll start with the things that I liked. So I like the firecracker story. I wish it had gotten more time, even though the amount of time that they spent on it was probably enough. I don't know if they could have done anything more with it, but I think I would have liked to have seen more of the outfall of her and her old pasture. Valerie Curry was very good as Firecracker. She really punched above her weight grade in this episode. Especially looking at things that she's been on. She's not really been on anything that I've watched, but she's been on a few things, and she nailed the firecrackerisms, the mannerisms in this episode. Very notable was the truth bomb scene. Really portrayed that the character was on the brink of cracking, but also selling out her morals and thoughts and principles to push the Homelander is God and church agenda. So I thought that was very good. And outside of that, that's really kind of all I liked, because everything else was so superfluous that it didn't even really matter. So I guess I'll start with, why are we still doing side quests? We're the 5th episode of your final season, with 8 episodes, by the way, so we're more than halfway through, and we're still trying to find the V1. So I guess Bomb Sight will come next episode, and they still won't get the V1. They're not going to get the V1 till the finale. Bet on that. That's going to happen, because these writers have really no idea how to make anything interesting at this moment. And I still don't know why we're doing these little side quests. So like the Terror stuff, right? Like Terror is cute and I love dogs and everything, but it was just a way to kind of shoehorn in a bunch of resolutions for things like Huey and Butcher, which was like the most gutless resolution to their conflict, because Huey's like, what about Becca? And Butcher just is like, oh, I guess we'll save Kimiko and Starlight then, which doesn't make any sense. And I bet next episode he's gonna go back to not caring if they die, because nobody can stick to any type of resolution or idea in this season. I could not give a shit less about the Kimiko and Frenchie stuff. Terribly boring. All they did was rehash that Frenchie doesn't think that he can give Kimiko the life that he thinks she wants, or that she says she wants. Who cares? I really just don't care. And then the Mother's Milk stuff I also don't care about either. The boys are probably the least interesting part of the season so far, which is bad, because there are main characters, and who gives a shit what they're doing? They're not doing anything interesting. They're dawdling around. Wouldn't it have been more interesting if they'd had the virus and unleashed the virus, and we actually saw this thing that Sage wants to do, which is like this grand super war versus humans? But no, we have to dawdle around trying to make the virus and find this V1 and never find it until the last episode, and not make the virus until the 5th hour to hype up the drama. But who gives a shit? I don't. They already had the virus made. It's just, I could not care less about their drama or conflicts. It's just not interesting. It's the same stuff that we've seen for the last 2 seasons. It's reheated leftovers. Who cares? It's not good to watch. Sage's plan is also probably the least interesting thing I've ever heard of, for the person who is allegedly the smartest person in the verse, who made a cure for cancer. But for some reason, her ultimate plan is just I want to cause a great war and then go retire in my bunker. Girl, go do that now. You don't need to throw the world into chaos to do that. It's nonsensical. It's either going to be a rug pull or it's going to be totally serious. And if it's either, it's stupid regardless. Because it's just dumb. It's just goofy. I want to go read all day is basically her motive, which is the dumbest motive ever. I did not give a shit less about the Black Noir and the deep side quest that happened, which I've seen people say that it deepened the rift that they had going on, but we already had that portrayed and happening, so there's really no need for this to happen. And my conspiracy is more that they just thought that it would be funny if the director from the old seasons died, because he got an eel up his ass, and then he could be his final line is my ass hurts, which was not funny. It was fucking stupid. And it's really just trying to get to a bunch of hype moments, but they're like lazily bridged together in this episode, and that's most of the season. Like the Deep is one of the best parts of the season so far because he's just such a douchebag, but he used to be like a funny douchebag who you'd feel like bad for him because he's so like pathetic, but he thinks he's not a good person, but he's like pathetic. But people like take him seriously even though they really shouldn't. And now he's just like a douchebag, and it's not funny or cute anymore. He's just like annoying. He does still say funny shit though. When he's like the oh father, like make one of the commandments that you don't steal your bro's girl. It's like that's already in the Bible. Yeah, going back to the terrorist stuff, they definitely had this idea on the storyboard that wouldn't it be so funny if Anthony Starr just like put his ass in the camera and said like, you gotta fuck me first before you get this turkey leg. And it's like, it's just so trashy. It's not funny. The absurdity used to be funny. I just feel like it used to be saying something with the bleakness and the dark shit that happened. But that was just like, oh... Anthony Starr's ass in the camera's face. Isn't that so funny? And isn't it so funny that Seth Rogen got like cut in half by a soup who runs really fast? And can we talk about like why did we have a bunch of fucking celebrity cameos? That was such a waste of time. Who cares? I'm not gonna clap because like Seth Rogen is in The Boys. I don't care. Like, again, this is the final season. Why are we doing all these little, like, side quests that ultimately don't even matter? Like, the whole Marathon Man thing also didn't matter either. They didn't even find the V1. They just got, like, another piece to the puzzle. And I bet you they're going to go to Bomb Site or whatever his name is. And he's going to be like, I don't have it. Such and such has it. And it's going to be, like, another character. It's going to be in Vought Rising because there's a bunch of legwork being done to set up this prequel, which is totally obvious, by the way. And we're gonna run around chasing our tails until the final episode where the bitches they get the V1 halfway through and Homelander takes it and he dies, which is gonna be like the wettest fart of a climax that has ever happened. But I wouldn't be surprised because they just don't have any creativity anymore. It's all just like edgy drivel that doesn't even matter. And look at the politics, like, oh, aren't MAGA so stupid? It was funnier when you were a little more nuanced about it. I live this every day. You don't need to remind me. You're not saying anything interesting. I think that's the biggest problem is they're not doing anything interesting anymore. It's all just like get from A to B to C to D and then go back to A. And it's like a constant merry-go-round of problems that can be solved. And again, speaking of the Marathon Man scene, like Homelander's on fraud watch because he keeps getting like every episode, it seems like a new weakness is brought up. Like last episode, we had the uranium that's never been established before. And then this episode, like a B-tier nobody soup, like has bad breath in his face and he gets knocked the fuck out. Like, no, Homelander's a fucking fraud. He hasn't like really killed anybody of importance or done anything like, ooh, terrifying in episodes. Like he killed Firecracker, okay, big whoop. Like her death flag was so obvious this season, especially last episode where she started being a little weird about like putting Homelander as God above Jesus and God himself. Like obviously she was gonna fucking die. You have to be stupid and not paying attention to realize that her death flag was waving very high. But Homeland is a fraud now. Watching clips of season 1, he used to have so much more, I don't want to say aura, but he was so much more intimidating. Now he's just like a toothless old chihuahua who's actually afraid of Homelander anymore. I mean, I know like the text and the people in the show are saying they're afraid of Homelander, but like why? He's not, again, he's like a toothless old chihuahua. You could just like poison him and put him in a uranium locker and that's it. I guess he's cooked. I guess if you just like have poison breath, you can just like knock him out. Why hadn't the boys killed him yet? Oh, like a B-tier superhero was able to knock his ass out. Like why haven't they killed Homelander yet? They're also frauds. Everybody in this show was just a fraud. The other thing that I thought was kind of annoying is I think they're trying really hard to, I guess, I don't want to say soften up Soldier Boy, but like soften him up because he's a fan favorite and they want to like push his Vought Rising thing. But his flip-flopping for Homelander is also getting kind of old because there's so many instances where he could have just like taken him out, but they're doing a lot of things to make it so that he doesn't blast him with his nuclear chest ray. Like this episode when the poison gas breath guy knocks him out, he's like, he's my sexual weirdo, only I can fuck my son. Like that was so fucking lame. Who wrote that and thought that this is really funny and good? No, it was fucking lame. And it also doesn't make any sense. And I know people will be like, well, Soldier Boy is really into loyalty and Homelander didn't kill him last episode. But like the text of this episode is he still fucking hates Homelander. He doesn't like Homelander. When Sister Sage brings up him becoming immortal, he outwardly grimaces at the thought, and he says to like Firecracker, like, basically, I don't like this guy, he's fucking weird. And everything he does is fucking weird, and I don't like it. And then all of a sudden, we get to this point where he could kill him, and all of a sudden he's like, no, I gotta protect my son, because that's my boy, that's my son. Like, they're gonna, next episode, he's gonna do something where he's gonna, like, double cross him or something. And I know people will be like, oh, he had a change of heart because of the Quinn thing. But no, he didn't. Again, rewatch the episode. His mannerisms in the boardroom are disgust. He outwardly grimaces at the idea of Homelander becoming immortal. Like, he does not like Homelander. Stop trying to make it happen. It's never gonna happen. He does not like him. It's more interesting when he doesn't like him. It's just a fucking mess. What was up with the weird title cards? They're trying to do this, like, avant-garde, like, chapters, but again, this is the 5th episode of the final season. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing these, like, A24 style, like, title cards for chapters? By the way, chapters that don't even matter. And they tried to do this whole, like, sophisticated, like, timeline thing where, like, plays with your perception of time and what's happening. But I could not give a shit less. Again, I don't care about any of these things that are happening. We're in the 5th episode of our 8-episode final season, and the climax feels like it's still a season away. Because basically nothing has changed from the first episode to this episode, except for that, like, A-Train is dead and, like, the boys constantly bicker at each other. And I guess Homelander wants to be God now, which, okay. Like, what is actually, like, what status has changed? There hasn't, because it's not like Homelander is immortal. Homelander's not immortal. The boys aren't any closer to trying to take him out. They reset in the 2nd episode or 3rd episode with Samir dousing the virus in bleach, so now we have to restart over on that plot to give Frenchie something to do. And the entire time, we're chugging towards the end, and again, we're still doing subplots and, like, side quests with fucking Seth Rogen, who I could not, like, isn't it so funny that Seth Rogen doesn't actually like weed, even though he, like, smokes a bunch of weed in his movies? That's so funny, guys. It's really not. Fucking lame. Like, I'm a grown-ass woman. I don't find, like, weed jokes very funny. Like, 420. Like, it's funny in Neighbors. Like, Seth Rogen is funny in, like, Neighbors, but he's not funny in The Boys when he's playing himself. Like, if people are saying this is the spiritual successor to This Is the End, but it's fucking not. It's fucking lame. Like, I'll go watch The Office if I want to see Craig, what's his last name, Robertson or whatever, and be funny, because he's funnier in The Office than in this. And all that they do is be annoying to Homelander and ask Homelander to smoke up because, again, hot weed, like, so funny. I didn't realize that the demographics for this show was 15-year-olds who just discovered weed for the first time so that they can be blown up by Marathon Man, which also was stupid because it just turns into a Scooby-Doo-esque chase scene, and it's like, we didn't need to do any of this. This is all so stupid. It's so stupid. Soldier Boy is gonna find out that Homelander killed or tried to kill Stormfront, because Stormfront's not dead. Again, last episode he asked, did you see the body? And it wasn't confirmed. So assume she's not dead. She's coming back either next episode, episode 7, or the finale. And she's gonna say, Homelander tried to kill me. And clearly Soldier Boy still has feelings for Clara Vought, who is Stormfront, because when he sees the picture, he, like, touches it so gingerly and tenderly. Again, the subtext is that he likes her or loves her or whatever. And she's gonna be, Homelander tried to kill me, and then he's gonna fucking kill Homelander, and it's gonna be unceremonious, and it's gonna be so obvious. Everything's just so obvious in this show. Just like next episode, they're not gonna get the V. Like, they're not gonna get the V1. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to save that till the final episode and think that that makes it, like, really tense and awesome because, like, Homelander doesn't get it to the last episode. It's just stupid. I just wish they stopped fucking around. Like, the humor is far outstayed its welcome. It's not even good anymore. It's just not funny. It's not interesting. It's like, oh, wow, guy got an eel up his ass and he said my ass hurt and died. Like, I'm a grown-ass woman. I don't find, like, That's not shocking to me. You're not gonna shock me with gore. Like, isn't it so funny that Seth Rogen is cut in half and he's like, I don't want to die, and then he gets killed by the Supernatural cast in Reunion, which was like hyped up to be this big thing, and it was a fucking nothing burger. I don't even like Supernatural, so I didn't even give a shit. But like, it was stupid. The whole thing is just like the epitome of nothingness, where it feels like things are happening because the game pieces are moving on the board, but you're not any closer to passing go and collecting $200. It's just terrible. And then also, I think this is the first time that Soldier Boy has seen Black Noir, which they have bad history, so why didn't he react to that? Also, you're gonna tell me that the first time Homelander and Stan Edgar had a conversation in 2 seasons happens off screen 3 times? Again, this is bad writing. They'd rather spend time on fucking Seth Rogen and McLovin than show us something interesting in Stan Edgar and Homelander having a conversation with each other for the first time in like a year or two in the time of the series. They're prioritizing the wrong things. It would have been much more interesting to see Homelander and Stan Edgar have a little reunion chat than it would have been to see Seth Rogen cut in half. Again, I'm a grown-ass woman. Gore, like, your gore is not shocking to me. I watch a lot of horror movies in the first place. I don't react to that type of thing. It makes me roll my eyes more so than anything else because it's so tired and done. And it feels like the point of this is to try to up themselves for the crazy shit they've done. Because, you know, they had the guy kill his lover from walking into his dick and sneezing that a couple seasons ago. And they've tried to continually crank up the absurdity and craziness in the kills since then. And just stop. It's far more interesting when the show slows down and does like these character dramas like Firecracker and Homelander than trying to do these contrived things like the Noir Deep thing, which, by the way, was a waste of time also. They'd already established that they had a rift forming. You didn't need to do any of this. Why off-screen the interesting things like the Stan Edgar and Homelander conversation, but then show us the new Black Noir going and talking to the old director so that he can throw some shade at like big movie companies and like legacy superhero films, and then have him killed unceremoniously because like funny eel up the ass. It just boggles my mind. It's lame. It's like this doesn't feel like a final season. This feels like the season before the final season, because now we're getting all these like character moments when we should have done that last season, the season that everybody that I've talked to who likes The Boys can't seem to fucking remember because it was so forgettable. And then they get these like little deja vu moments. I'm more in what it used to be because it used to be very good. And now it's just stupid. It just boggles my mind how goofy it is. It's so unserious. It's so unceremonious. I do wish they'd spent more time on the Firecracker stuff because I think that was the most interesting thing that happened in this episode, and I wish they spent more time on Stan Edgar because I'm not like gonna sit here and clap over your little title card one shot like you're trying to be like this avant-garde like A24 movie. Like, no, you're not that guy. The Boys, you're The Boys. You're trash TV that used to be good and is the shell of themselves. And I will forever maintain my opinion that this should have ended at season 3. Do you hear that? It's the sound of the fraud alarm going off. We gotta put another person on fraud watch from The Boys. I'm putting Soldier Boy on fraud watch officially after this episode, which is too bad. Like, look how they massacred my boy type moment. So obviously I watched the 6th episode of The Boys. I'm gonna talk about it, but like, spoiler alert, it's still not very good. But before we do that, I wanted to take the opportunity to thank the people who have recently liked and subbed to my channel. It's very exciting to see us getting close to 500 subscribers. As always, like, comment, and subscribe on my videos. And if you are a new subscriber and you haven't checked out my old stuff yet that I've made, you should. I talk about movies, I've talked about some manga, I've talked about The Boys, obviously, and you should check it out. I also wanted to apologize for my voice. I'm a little stuffy from the plants getting excited that it's spring, so my allergies are kind of kicked up badly. And I have all my dogs in my room with me, so you might hear them clacking around in the back. It's just a part of life of having 5 dogs. Sometimes they get a little goofy in the background. So let's get into it. So I guess I'll start off with the stuff that I like, which is very few and far between. I like the part of the deep when he goes to the oil spill location and the fish Jeremy dies. Nice to be reminded that the fish is a fucking dork, and that fish are like his only true friends, and that he actually really loves fish a lot. And it was nice to see that coming into play this season, because it hasn't really come into play this season. The only time he's really talked about fish is like when he was eating sushi and he was like, these fish sacrificed their lives for me to eat this delicious sushi. We haven't had like a scene with like had in the previous seasons with the dolphins and the fish in his room. So it's nice to see him, go back to caring very deeply about fish and humanizing them, because to them they are just basically like little humans. And I thought the fish Holocaust joke was funny, how upset he was over it. Because again, he views fish as like people. Fish are people to him. They have personalities and families and jobs and all that. It was nice to be reminded of that side of the deep. But other than that, I can't really think of anything that I liked. No, I remember. Okay. So I like that Homelander kind of got some of his season 1 cleverness back with the calling the Vought alert necklace, where the legend reminds him that Golden Geisha, pushes these life alert knockoff necklaces, and he realizes that he can call to get her location. I thought that was clever, because we haven't seen like Homelander being clever this entire season. He's kind of been relegated to like the cuck chair, where he just like sits in the background and swings his legs and plays with his cape like a little boy, while Soldier Boy and other characters do things around him, and then he throws tantrums. So it's nice to see him be kind of clever again. But outside of these 2 things, that's really all I like. All right, I'm gonna break into my tangent. Now, why did they make a 5th season of The Boys? Just make the 1st season of Vought Rising. It absolutely blows my mind how much like time and effort and footwork they're putting into making the Vought Rising spin-off like a thing. This episode again spent so much time setting up Vought Rising instead of trying to like wrap the boys up in a way that makes sense. The entire conversation with Bombsight and Soldier Boy was just an entire setup and background for these 2 characters for fucking Vought Rising. I'm not watching Vought Rising, I'm watching The Boys, I thought. So why are we not doing things with The Boys, our main characters of the series The Boys? Why are we doing things with fucking Soldier Boy and Bombsight, who are probably going to be the main characters of Vought Rising along with Clara, who again, they're doing a ton of footwork to establish who she is in her relationship to Soldier Boy and everything, which I'll get to in a second, put a pin in it. Why that's also horseshit, so that they can do their spin-off for Vought Rising. It just baffles me that they think that they're gonna put all of this time and effort in the Vought Rising, fuck up the ending of The Boys, and then the people who like The Boys are gonna watch Vought Rising. I'm gonna watch it because I like Jensen Ackles as Soldier Boy, and I'm interested to see what happens, plus it'll be good YouTube content. But, like, Andrew was like, I'm not even gonna watch the spinoff. So, like, tangentially, I have anecdotal evidence to prove that, like, already somebody who has watched all of the seasons of The Boys is not going to watch the spinoff. He's just not interested in it. And I imagine that's a lot of people, because they're not sticking the landing on this one. I see all the comments online, people hate the finale. Why would, like, you can't fuck up the finale and ask your fans to go watch your spinoff that you've been setting up in place of your finale for the entire time. Wrap up the story you're going with, and then tease the spinoff in the fucking last episode. Don't be spending 4 of your 8 finale season episodes, which I'm sure they're going to continue it in the next 2, on setting up your shitty spinoff that nobody's gonna fucking watch. Can't believe that Homelander and Soldier Boy's conflict has really, like, been a Superman versus Batman resolution, the coming together of them. Homelander's like, Clara, I miss you. And Soldier Boy's like, why'd you say that name? I loved her. So fucking goofy, man. Like, I gotta talk about this because this is boggling my mind. So season 3, we get introduced to Soldier Boy, right? And in it, he says that, I don't recall him mentioning Stormfront, except for maybe saying that him and her made Herogasm, which, like, fucking is not equivalent to love. So Soldier Boy gets introduced in season 3, right? And he says a Crimson Countess is the love of his life, that she is someone that he wants to start a family with and have kids with and settle down with. And then when he was taken by the Russians and they were doing all their experiments on him, he said that he hoped and prayed that she would come and save him because she was the love of his life.
I loved you. All those years that they burned me and that they pumped me full of poison, I held on to the hope that you would come, that you would save me. Because I still loved you.
Why all of a sudden is Stormfront the love of his life out of nowhere? I mean, I know why. It's because they're setting up VOD Rising, but it doesn't make any sense for the continuity. It's kind of pathetic when your fans can remember your continuity of your series, your $90 million plus series. You, as the writing room, cannot remember your continuity between over 2 seasons. You should be checking that. Like, you should have had Soldier Boy say something like, I thought I loved Crimson Countess, but actually Clara was the one that I always wanted. I just couldn't be what she wanted. So Crimson Countess was my backup plan. Or something. Because, again, like, when Soldier Boy is introduced, Clara is not someone that he talks about. You'd think that the supposed love of his life is somebody that he would talk about a lot more. But no, he doesn't mention loving her until this season, coincidentally, because it does 2 things, right? So it sets up VOD Rising and the relationship they're going to have in VOD Rising, but it also makes it so that Soldier Boy and Homelander have something in common. Because otherwise, there's no reason for Soldier Boy to even like Homelander. Which, by the way, Soldier Boy says every episode how much he fucking hates Homelander, put a pin in it, but decides to help him anyway. Put a pin in it, we'll come back to it. So, why is it all of a sudden that Clara is what's gonna drive his like, doing things and actions? It doesn't make any fucking sense. It's just like, again, it literally is Batman vs Superman Martha thing all over again that everybody fucking clowned on Zack Snyder for because it was fucking stupid when it happened, and it's stupid that it's happening here. Yeah, Soldier Boy, who like is this super masculine man, is just gonna like cuck himself for eternity to his son because his son also fucked a woman he was in love with, who is more than likely his mom, by the way, which I'm sure is going to be a big revelation either next episode or their finale, and it's gonna be earth-shattering for Homelander. Soldier Boy doing something out of love is not in character for a man who is hyper-masculine misogyny if it was wrapped in a steaming pile of dog shit as well. Like, that man oozes like masculinity, no weakness. He thinks Homelander is fucking weak for crying, and he hates him for that. All of a sudden, he's gonna flip-flop to now being on giving him the V1 because it's what Clara would have wanted, a woman who he's never established a relationship with until this season, which I forgot to mention in the Crimson Countess part because I'm just like so wound up right now. The math, we'll talk about the math in a second, like how the math doesn't math. What's also annoying is that he literally said not less than 10 minutes ago in the episode that fuck you, Homelander, you don't deserve to be immortal. But now he decides that it's what Clara would have wanted, so he gives him the V1 instead of just snapping it in half. I've seen people say that he did that because he doesn't want to fight Homelander, but that's a bunch of bullshit because one is I want to talk about also the Deus Ex Machina that is Soldier Boy, how writers always fumble these incredibly overpowered characters. He doesn't need to fight Homelander. He had the V1 in his hand. Just snap it like a twig. You don't have to give it to him. But if they didn't give it to him, then they couldn't have their crazy finale where Homelander is immortal and now the boys need to figure out how to make him dead, even though... Okay, so there's a few things I want to back up, recenter my head. The math for Crimson Countess. So when in season 3, we are told that Soldier Boy was turned into the Russians. So he probably would have been around 35, 40 years old. He wasn't very old at that time. He was in love with Crimson Countess. This episode tells us that Soldier Boy had been in love and in a relationship with Clara for decades, which doesn't really line up with the Crimson Countess thing, because again, I really think the writers just forgot that Crimson Countess was a person that existed in their universe, and they just really, really are excited for Vought Rising because Jenkin Ackles is like a national treasure and has like a beautiful face. And I think they just forgot, which is like, you're the writer's room, have a continuity guy. I don't know what to tell you. And people are probably going to be like, well, he was seeing Clara or Crimson Countess on the side. That wasn't established. You can't just throw shit at the wall and when it sticks, be like, this is the new story. It's just not how storytelling is supposed to work. You can't just make things relevant because it fits your motives outside of the show, which, I mean, you can because you're the writers, you can do whatever the fuck you want. But that doesn't mean that it's not stupid or bullshit when it happens. So the math just doesn't math, right? The other thing is that they clearly don't know what to do with Soldier Boy, which is why they shouldn't have brought him back in the first episode or second episode of the season, because he's the ultimate Deus Ex Machina. He can literally erase the V1 or V out of people's bloodstream. He did it at the bomb site. We've established that he can certainly erase V1 out. Oh gee, I wonder if they're gonna use that in the finale to beat Homelander. So it's clear that they don't know what to do with this character that could just end the series at any point in time if he got enough of hair across his ass. And that's why he flip-flops so much. And that's also why it's bad writing, because they're prioritizing getting to the finale and setting up their spin-off versus writing a story that is organic and compelling and feels like a natural progression for these characters, and not that every other minute Soldier Boy is flipping-flopping on how he feels about Homelander. Because again, he's the ultimate Deus Ex Machina. He can end the series whenever he feels like it. He could just blast the fuck out of Homelander and it would be over. You saw the same thing in something like Jujutsu Kaisen with Sukuna and Gojo, where the writer has written this incredibly overpowered and OP character that could just end the verse at any point in time, but they need to do all of this silly shit to make it so that that doesn't happen, and they have to introduce all of these kind of like mechanics or personality things that flip-flop that make it so that like the thing is just not solved. And that's what's happening right now, is because they need Homelander to get to the finale, to make their big finale climax that I'm sure they're gonna make a sex joke for. The fans be damned. I guess character is just an 8-letter word to these people, and hopefully I got the letters right on that. I guess character doesn't matter. And speaking of the characters, the boys are like it's not even the boys anymore. It's just Vought Rising plot season 1. Like the boys have no characteristics. Like a Butcher is like British man who says the same 3 sentences in different ways. He poses in Aura Farms and gets his shit kicked in by Bombsight, who I thought Butcher was supposed to be really strong with his tentacles, but I guess not. He's kind of a fraud also. What is Annie outside of like lamenting over her relationship with Huey and making faces? What is Kimiko outside of her relationship with Frenchie and not wanting to kill anybody, besides the fact that, like, in the boss fight she did, those people were going for the kill for her. I'm sorry, this is not a world where kindness is celebrated or expected. This is a very harsh world where people kill each other and people die, and that's just kind of it. Like, what is Mother's Milk outside of his now, oh, I don't give a shit about anything. Oh no, these people are making parallels to Butcher, and I'm like, next episode, I bet you I'm gonna go back to my morals or whatever. Then what is Huey outside of being, like, Flower Crown, like love child, where everybody needs to be in peace despite the trolley problem of Homelander literally going to kill everybody if they don't believe in him. We're talking mass casualty event. But yes, Huey, you have your flower crown and live in your peaceful world. That's why I don't really understand Huey's point. Like, man, it's just fucking goofy. They want the straight man so bad at the expense of anything that makes any sense. Black Noir 2 dying was so obvious. Last episode, it made it perfectly clear that either the Deep or him was gonna die. It's just I wish they had done it in a little more ceremonious fashion. Like, did Black Noir 2 forget that he could fly? He could just fly up and hit Deep off the ceiling and they could have a fisticuffs to figure it out. And then maybe the Deep gets like a one-up on him by being clever or using like a fish or something. I don't know. But the way they did it was so unceremonious. Like, it's just so fucking lame and lazy. He just like Black Noir 2 took a minigun to the to the fucking chest, if I remember correctly, and he can fly. He's not like a pussy. So why can he be like bush camp, like Universe Kenjaku style bush camp, and be choked and stabbed? That's fly up. Like, that's all you need to do is just fly up. Like, or grab a mic, grab something. He did literally nothing. He just stood there and let himself get killed. It was obvious one of them were dying. I honestly, I don't care. I really don't care. I don't care about, like, I like the Deep, but I don't care about him. Stop giving him stuff to do. He's not that interesting anymore. There's 2 more episodes. Why are we doing this stuff? It boggles my mind. I will say I like the conversation with the Legend and Homelander. I don't even remember who the Legend is, because he's not like he's been relevant, but he'll be in Vought Rising, so of course he had to show up, because it just reminded us that Homelander at his core is just a small little child who wants someone to pat him on the back and treat him like a human being. The Legend does that, so that's why he lets him go. I thought that was nice, but I also thought the Legend was fucking annoying. Oh my god, I'm so sick of all the sex jokes. It's not funny. Every sentence is a joke, and the punchline is sex. They've managed to, they figured out a way to work sex, the implication of sex, into almost every conversation and sentence, which is not funny. It's not funny. Ashley saying like, I'll asphyxiate myself, at least I'll get off to it, is not funny. It's fucking lame. Sex jokes are not funny when they're used so, like, everywhere, where they're everywhere. You know what's funny is when the sex joke is unexpected. When your characters are just spouting off sex jokes all the time, it's not funny. It's fucking lame. Because, again, I'm a 33-year-old woman. I don't find sex jokes that funny. Like, okay, people have sex. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not a teenager. It's not the first time I've ever had sex before. Like I'm not gonna goon over it all the time. Like, great, it's sex. Whoop-de-doo. People do it. Everybody does it. Your mom does it. Your dad does it. Your sister does it. Your brother does it. Your aunt, uncle do it too. Hey guys, your grandma and grandpa also fuck each other. I hate to break it to you, but like, everybody fucks. They're desperately trying to give Sage something to do, to make it seem like this is all her master plan. But she's not Stan Edgar, and they're trying to make her be Stan Edgar, like with her little monologue was very Stan Edgar-ish, and she's just like not that guy. And this is no like shade to Sister Sage, but she's just like not that guy. It's just crazy. Dialogue is just so bad too, just thinking back where she's like, people are predictable. Like fucking obviously not. And then thinking back to the humor where the guy takes the V1 and he shits himself to death. Like, oh guys, isn't that funny? Like the guy shit himself to death. So juvenile. In my adult show, I thought this was for adults with brains who could take in nuance and like actual funny things, and not 15-year-old TikTokers. That's like the perfect TikTok scene where it's like just the amount of time where you can cut it for TikTok, and it's just crazy enough where like 15-year-olds who are scrolling on TikTok will watch it. It's just so bad. Someone will come in here with a snarky comment like, oh, just don't watch it. Like, no, I like The Boys up to season 3, save for the finale, which I fucking hate, and I want this to be better than itself. Criticizing a series is not indicative of you hating it. It's indicative of you actually liking it and criticizing it. All of my criticisms and all these things I'm talking about and kind of raging over are because they've lost the plot to their own season. Their whole series they've lost the plot to. Like, what even is The Boys anymore? What are we doing? People are just doing shit because it's funny and it gets us to the finale. Like, everything that's happened this season has been the big setup for the finale. And I guess now the virus doesn't even matter. So we spent all this time doing the virus when we already had the virus made, by the way, but we had to destroy it because it would have ended the series. But now the virus doesn't matter, which is fine because you can set something up that doesn't end up paying off. Like, that's fine. But they put a bunch of time into having the virus, not having the virus, having the virus, that now it doesn't matter because Homelander got the V1. And they always knew Homelander was going to get the V1 because they're the writers. So they should have handled the virus plotline a little bit better. Like, why? That's my question to Eric, is like, why? Why? I understand he wants to do his Vought Rising spinoff. I understand he wants to have this big, like, boys universe. But, like, the reason why it worked for Marvel is because Marvel set up everything really well and made good movies that people wanted to watch. You have essentially shat yourself for the end of your series that people liked a lot in the beginning and now is getting kind of critically panned, and your fans are like, what is going on? You can't just shit yourself and then expect people to want to sit at your dinner table. It's not gonna happen. I just don't see a lot of people watching VOT Rising. And it's obvious with Gen V, because Gen V got canceled after 2 seasons because people weren't watching Gen V either. Like, people do not want your spin-off series to take precedent over your main series. Your mainline series should be good enough to hold people to the end, and then you tease them for their spin-off, and then you release the spin-off, and now all of a sudden you've gotten a natural pipeline to that. It's why when they tried to make that Dwight Schrute spinoff for The Office and they put the random pilot into the final season of The Office, they put the pilot episode in, why that panned, because nobody wants to see the pilot for the prequel during the final season of a show that they've invested a lot of time in and they like. It's why it didn't work for The Office, and it's why it's not working here. And The Office, I hate to break it to you, is way more fucking popular than The Boys. And they tried to do the same thing with setting up a spinoff within the final season of The Office, and it fucking panned because your fans are not trying to get to the prequel or your sequel or your spinoff. They're trying to get through the series that is proper, that they like. Like, the writers' priorities are such a goddamn mess. It's like, it's crazy. I've been raging about The Boys for a long time, losing my mind over this fucking show. Anyway, ending notes. Annie's a fraud, Butcher's a fraud, Mother Milk's a fraud, French is a fraud, Kimiko's a fraud, Soldier Boy's a fraud, Sage is a fraud, the boys are fucking lame, they don't do anything anymore, just T-pose an aura farm and argue with each other. Hi, yeah, I'm looking to report a fraud-on-fraud crime. Homelander has choked out Soldier Boy and put him back in the tube, and the emergency is that, why did we do this season? So yes, clearly I just watched the second to last episode of the final season of The Boys, and less than impressed. What's crazy is we have 55 to 60 minutes left to wrap up everything that has gone on in the series in a way that is satisfying and good. I just don't see how that's gonna happen. I guess I'll talk about some of the good parts. It was nice to see the boys actually like kill Soups in a creative and clever way. We haven't seen that in a long time. And again, apologies. I have all my dogs. Again, I have 5 of them, so 4 in here. The French Bulldog. If you ever had a French Bulldog, they're loud as fuck when they breathe and do anything. So you're gonna hear. And I was trying not to swear during this episode because I got a lot of feedback on my last one that I swore a lot. So that's cat's out of that bag. So I liked how the boys actually killed Soups in a clever way. She-Line with the rat in the water. And then, Starlight she just overpowered Dognot, which is about time that Annie wasn't like a fraud. She's still in Fraud Watch, but she's like less than a fraud now. But it was nice to see Huey and Butcher kill the most OP Soup in the verse with some cleverness, with Huey calling back to when the Soup made his younger brother kill himself. But of course, there's a Soup out there that can turn off other Soup's powers, can shapeshift and read minds. So OP. Of course, it just happens to be on the side of VOD. It just happens to until I'm trying to talk about things that I like. I think that Karen she really acted her ass off with Kimiko Frenchie dying scene. I'll put a pin in it, I'll talk about it. And I guess a good thing is we saw the Gen V kids, just Marie, Moreau, and Jordan though, because Kate and Emma and Sam, who cares? They're so, their show's canceled. Who gives a shit? Outside of that, really nothing. I didn't like anything else. It was, those couple instances. Outside of that, everything was just garbage. It's just, it still kind of boggles my mind that we're the second to last episode of your series, and we're still doing, side quest material. Why are we learning about Butcher's backstory from a character who last season was just an hallucination from his cancer, who has never been mentioned up until last season, and being brought back now for what? To talk about how Butcher's fucked up? Like, no, we know that. We've spent 5 seasons with this character. We know he's a deranged. You don't need to keep pulling that thread, Eric. Like, we get it. I also thought that it was just kind of convenient that, of course, his powers are that he can turn other Soup's powers off, as well as read their mind, as well as shapeshift. It's just very convenient, because otherwise Huey and Butcher would have gotten themselves out of their little pickle in much quicker time, and they wouldn't have had the big dramatic reveal at the end where Frenchie dies. Okay, we'll talk about Frenchie dying. This is supposed to be a very emotional moment, and I give the writers their flowers for killing off one of the boys, but it feels like in Naruto, where they killed off Neji, because a big complaint for Naruto was that none of the Konoha, but 12 or 15, I don't remember what it is, but the Konoha, I think it was 15, none of them died throughout basically the entire series up until Shippuden, when Kishimoto was like, okay, I guess we have to kill somebody, so we'll kill Neji. And the most unceremonious way, and Frenchie dies in the most unceremonious way, like he just blasts himself with uranium. I want to take a second to kind of talk about what I do for my day job, right? So I do occupational health and safety for my day job. I have a master's degree in this topic and industrial hygiene. And what kind of bothered me about this is we've brought people back from work radiation exposure. Like, he got face blasted with uranium, but Sister Sage is the smartest person in the world, and she can't do anything to try to help his radiation poisoning. Again, I took a whole class on this. This is something that we as modern humans can usually treat people for. It's just a little nitpick thing where I get the point where that he's supposed to sacrifice himself and die, but couldn't they have done it in like a better fashion? It's just so lame. So lame and like preventable, but again, they needed a character to die, and so Frenchie was there. They're not gonna kill Butcher. They're not gonna kill Annie or Huey. They're not gonna kill Kimiko or Mother's Milk, apparently. So they need Frenchie to die so Kimiko can be sad and probably awaken the chest blast power, which I'm a little confused as to why we're not using the virus. Is the virus still at play? Is that still in the cards? Is that still like on the game board? Because I know they set it up in the church, but now they're doing something different with the Soldier Boy chest blast, even though they could have just used that in season 3. But I guess now they're doing this. They could have just gotten Soldier Boy on their side in the beginning of the season, or even any time, because Soldier Boy still freaking hates Homelander. And where is the virus? Wouldn't it have been like really awesome if they'd had the virus that knocked Soldier Boy out for a couple hours, use it on Homelander, and then put him in the uranium thing and like killed him this episode? I don't know. I'm still a little hung up on the whole virus plotline, because it feels like, especially at this point, like, why did we spend the time doing it? Because are they going to bring it back? Are they going to show up in the finale? I don't know. They're doing now this radiation thing. It's, I guess, anything to just not kill Homelander right away to get into the finale. Frenchie dying was supposed to be this big emotional moment, but I just could not have given a shit less. Quite sad. It should have been sad. I should have felt something. They wanted this to be like the Boromir moment, where Boromir like sacrifices himself from Lord of the Rings, and everybody is actually sad because we care about Boromir. But like, I don't give a shit about Kimiko and Frenchie's relationship. I haven't for the past 7 episodes. They've been so on and off, and they built it up to like this big sad moment, like Frenchie was gonna settle down with Kimiko and have kids. Like, girl ain't having kids after she just got blasted with all of that radiation, by the way. So that was probably one of the obligatory main character deaths, which I knew was gonna happen. I knew one of the like auxiliary boys was gonna die. It was either gonna be Mother's Milk or Frenchie, and it was Frenchie. And I just can't care less. I couldn't care less about the Ashley thing. I couldn't care less about learning about MM's past. We know his past. We don't need to get like the backstory to the Mother's Milk name in the second to last episode of your series. Like that's season like 2 stuff, 2 or 1 or 2 things. You have like an offhand comment from like Annie or Huey or something, be like, why do they call you Mother's Milk? And then he goes into why that is. You could do this season 3, which like one of the big plot points is how much he hates Soldier Boy for killing his grandfather. Like do that shit then, don't do character backstories in like your second to last episode. The same with Butcher. Like do that last season. Like have him hallucinating Kessler, and then he would be like, who you talking to? And Butcher like tells the story instead of this information being passed down like secondhand to other characters. It's just lame. A lame attempt to try to be like, oh man, are they gonna trust Butcher? It's just stupid. It was just stupid. It was just a waste of, it was a waste of like 10 minutes. Seriously. And we don't have 10 minutes to spare. We have 55 minutes left in the entire series. And yet we're talking about why Marvin Milk is called Mother's Milk. Like, okay, why don't we get our priorities a little bit straight? The other thing, the dirty sex jokes. Oh my god, the She-Line thing made me want to curl up into a ball and die. It was so lame. Get it, guys? She's a cat, so she cleans herself. She's licking herself like a cat, and then Dog Dot comes in, and they're sniffing each other's asses. Isn't that so funny and weird and gross? We're the second to last episode of your series, and we have 2, like, B-tier antagonists that we just met, like, this season, sniffing each other's assholes, talking about what they had for lunch. Like, well, we spend 3.5 minutes doing this. Why? We're burning precious airtime for the stupidest and not funny, quote-unquote, jokes, because apparently that's funny. Like, no, it's the writer's barely disguised fetish. Like, it's just gross. And then she goes and, like, licks herself. I was betting, like, when she started unzipping her pants, I was like, she's either gonna lick herself or she's gonna, like, take a shit and try to bury it. Like a cat would. Because, get it, guys? She's a cat. Her name is She-Line. Oh, get it? They're a cat and a dog. I have both cats and dogs, and I can tell you that cats do not sniff my dog's asses. So, it was all set up for this nasty bit that was just gross. Gross, and why are we spending precious screen time making gross sex jokes still? I don't get it. Soldier Boy still hates Homelander. So why did he help him? Again, he was like, it's what Clara would have wanted. Oh my god. That is so, like, lame. It's just so lame. I still cannot get over how lame it is. How lame and contrived it is. Like, bro is all like, I hate you, Homelander. You're fucking weird. But I gave you this V1 so you'll be immortal because it's what Clara would have wanted. The woman that I've been in love with all my life, even though Crimson Countess is, I guess she just doesn't matter. She's a non-factor because he's always loved Clara or Stormfront. And it's what she would have wanted. Like, what a bitchless move. Would have been so much more interesting if Soldier Boy hadn't given him the V1 and had snapped the vial or something. Because for him to be like, Homelander just like vying for his attention every episode is just getting really annoying. Like, your dad's never gonna love you, dude. I hate to break it to you, but he tells you he hates you every episode. I think he hates you, which makes it even weirder when you give him the V1 and his reason is it's because it's what Clara would have wanted. And he's all like, let me put it to you straight, kid. I don't like you, but it's what the woman that I was apparently in love with for years would have wanted. Oh, it's so stupid. It's so contrived. It's so obvious. It's so obvious that, like, the writers couldn't think of any other reason why Soldier Boy didn't blast Homelander in the face this season after Homelander betrayed him with the virus. And they couldn't think of a better way to get the V1 in Homelander's hands. Here's a thought. Just don't do it, because what has changed within Homelander from getting the V1? He's just immortal now. He's not any more menacing or anything. When Homelander was walking around the school looking for Frenchie or for Sage, I just was like, this is lame. Like, so, like, Soldier Boy, you're not Soldier Boy. Like, Homelander, you're not that guy. You're not him. Like, you used to be him in, like, season 1 and 2, but in maybe 3. But, like, you're not him anymore. You're just, like, you're in the cuck chair for the entire season. Like, things just happen around you. You don't do anything. You're not clever anymore. You're certainly not intimidating. And you didn't even kill one of the boys. He killed himself by sacrificing himself. And then you just blast it off. So, again, it's not like Homelander's done anything. He hasn't killed anybody except for, like, Firecracker, which, okay, again, whoop-de-friggin' do. Like, that one was obviously gonna happen. But he hasn't killed any people. Okay, he killed the president. But, like, again, it was so obviously going to happen. You had to not be paying it. There's no, like, deaths that are shocking that Homelander has done that has been like, whoa, this guy's a big threat. Like, no, he just killed the president and that's it. Like, nobody says anything. He kills Firecracker. Nobody says anything. And then he gets, like, no diffed by, like, C-tier soup, Malchemical, uranium, zinc. And then he falls for the most obvious, like, Frenchie trap. Like, again, Homelander thinks he's him, but he's not. He's just, like, a child whose daddy doesn't love him. And I guess he can choke his dad out? I don't know. They should have just let Jenkin Ackles go. They're, like, holding him hostage. Like, blink twice if you need help. My sweet prince. Again, it's just so weird. Like, why can't they just, if they wanted Soldier Boy to be on Homelander's side, just make him like him. Don't do this whole, like, every episode he's saying how much he hates Homelander and how weird he is. But then he goes out of his way to help him and give him the one thing he wants. Which, by the way, I hate to keep bringing up, but last episode, besides for the entire season, he says that he's not worthy of being immortal. But then he gives him the V1 last episode anyway. And again, what was even the point of the V1 besides immortality? Because it's not like anything has changed. There's been no, in this entire season, there's been no status quo change. It's just been like little side quests to do things that don't ultimately matter. Like the virus. Where is the virus? What was the point of that? I hope for their sake that the virus comes back and plays an important role at the end, because it's going to be really lame and stupid if it doesn't. And that's the hell I'm going to die on, that if they don't do that, like, I think half the season is a waste anyway, but that would have been even more of a waste, because we're just doing all these side quests for things. We're still doing side quests. Why? Like, I don't care about Ashley's, like, thing with Bashley. Like, I don't care. It's not important. If you don't have 8 episodes worth of material, don't do 8 episodes. Or instead, like, this season should have been season 4. I just don't understand why this is the final season. This is the best that they got. This is the best way. This is the way they want to wrap up their story, is unceremoniously, like, going out like a wet fart. It's just so friggin' lame. And the Deep, too. I mean, I knew it was going to happen where the sea animals were going to turn against him. And, like, funny, the shark was Samuel Jackson. And Samuel Jackson was also, I think, in the Deepwater Horizon or something, which is about a shark, a super smart shark. And, oh, my God, the Deep is now, like, everybody hates him. Oh, man, I'm so happy we did all that Black Noir and Deep stuff in the previous episodes. Like, this was really, really, like, the ultimate character arc. I'm so happy we're seeing all of this happening to the Deep. It's just like, who cares? Like, I don't care. They could have ended the series in a fashion that got Homelander killed, which is the penultimate purpose of the series, and I wouldn't have given a shit less about what the Deep was doing, because he is just a joke character. He is not to be taken seriously. So the fact that we're spending so much time on him it just blows my mind. It blows my mind that we're doing, like, these, like showing the Homelander Jesus commercial. Like, what? How did that get us any closer to the finale of the season? It just wasted time and wasted space. I don't care about this. You don't need to show us the actual, like, Homelander and Jesus bit. Just show us the byproduct of the people who are non-believers getting killed. You can express all of that without showing us that bit, and you save 3.5 minutes. Again, the reason why I'm being so persnickety with this, like, you save 3.5 minutes with, like, taking out She-Line and Dog not sniffing each other's asses, and you take out 2 minutes not having the commercial, is because, like, there's 55 minutes left in the series. in the season and in the series in totality. Like, what are we doing? We haven't gotten anywhere this season. The most we've gotten is like, Homelander's gotten V1. But that's it. And the boys are still sneaking around doing these stupid little side quests. Like, why did they want to go get Oh Father? I don't understand why they needed to go get Oh Father. What was the point of that? I'm sitting here thinking about it in hindsight, and I cannot, for the love of God, figure out what the point of this entire episode was for half of it. The Kimiko stuff is interesting because it's like the plan C of plan B and A, which is interesting because, you know, I guess we're just not doing the virus thing anymore and any of that. And if Butcher had, like, just used his little tentacle thingies to snatch the syringe out of Soldier Boy's hands last episode, this whole thing would have been avoided. But, like, don't think too deeply about it because the writers didn't. And I'm just thinking, like, what was the point of with going to Vought Studios besides to do some Mother's Milk and Butcher backstory, which again, we don't need this far into the series, to have two characters sniffing each other's ass, to have a cat girl lick her pussy, and I guess Annie finally gets a W. Like, I'm just confused on how this episode moved the plot along. At least we got two of the Gen V kids back. Marie Moreau, who got told to screw off in the beginning of the episode, who now we're going back to her, which it better pay off because there's no way I suffered through 2 seasons of Gen V being told that it's going to be the most important piece of the boys for it to not even matter. And if it doesn't, that's going to have been... I'm going to have words if that's what happens. And I know that's what's going to happen because Marie Moreau, there's no way Marie Moreau is taking Homelander out. Something's going to happen where she's going to be, like, out of commission and not able to do anything. And that's going to be it. But man, I'm so happy we waited to the 7th episode to get 2 minutes with Marie Moreau, the apparent god prophecy character of the series. Wouldn't Kate and Marie Moreau have been, like, really helpful at the Oh Father thing? It's just, again, what was the point of this episode? What did we do? We didn't do anything. We saved a bunch of people. Like, okay. They did this so they could have the moment where Annie's like, why do I have to save these people who don't want to be saved? And Mother's Milk can be like, give the backstory and be like, you gotta help helpless birds. When he could have just been like, because we gotta save everybody else who doesn't want to die. He could have been like, look at these people. They're not buying it. They're lying. They don't want to be killed. That's why we're doing this. I have a daughter and an ex-wife or wife. And you have, like, a dad that you're reconnected with. And a brother who jerks off to you. Because I saw her picture in his bedroom. Up in the corner. The little goon turd thought he was getting a one over on me. But I saw it. I sniffed that out. Writers and incest. Don't even get me started. But nothing happened in this episode besides Frenchie dying, which could have happened any other way. Again, it's like they did like the most like unceremonious death, and I wish I cared about Frenchie and Kimiko. I just don't. So for her being so upset, I don't care. I don't like. And then Homelander's like, I need to find Sister Sage, but like literally last episode, Homelander went to their hideout, and they didn't even move hideout, so. Wouldn't the first place that he would think to check would be the hideout of the place that he went to last episode that he knows Sister Sage has been at? Why didn't he just go back there? Again, it's all this contrived bullshit so that Frenchie can sacrifice themselves for Sage and Kimiko can get a sad moment where she's probably going to get a power-up from it because of love and emotions, and then Frenchie can have his conversation with Sage about how, like, love is what... Like, nobody understands love. You're so smart and you're so sad. But, because you don't understand love, but, like, nobody understands love. And Sage is like, oh, you're so right. Like, okay, you're the smartest person in the world. Like, come off it. Like, the most B-tier Naruto talk no jutsu worked on her. It's disgraceful. This whole thing is just a mess. I don't understand why we're still doing all the stuff that we're doing. This episode wasn't good. Nothing progressed. I guess Soldier Boy's back in the tube. He's out of commission now, I guess. I don't know. I'm sure somehow he'll wake up or something. But we didn't establish anything. There really been no plot progression. You can kill a character off, but that doesn't progress your plot. Because from the beginning of the episode and the ending of the episode, from the overarching plot point is nothing has changed. Which is why it's frustrating, because we have 55 minutes left in this entire series, and yet we have so many plot points to wrap up, and they're gonna kill Homelander off in like the most unceremonious way. It's gonna be so lame. And speaking of the final episode, I really hope none of you are buying the freaking like theater tickets for it. Like, don't fall for it. Don't pay for this in theaters. Don't pay $30 to go watch something you're already probably paying for on Amazon Prime. This is like, I don't know what it is with finales and putting them in theaters right now, but like for the Amazing Digital Circus, it made a little bit of sense because it's getting released in theaters and 2 weeks on streaming. To my knowledge, this episode is, and the Amazing Digital Circus one is longer, to my knowledge. To my knowledge, this is not long. Not only is this not longer, but you can watch it from the comfort of your home and not have to pay money to go sit in a theater with a bunch of other people, eat popcorn. You can eat popcorn at home. Like, if for cheaper. Please nobody buy the friggin' movie tickets unless you're like a diehard fan of the show and you think that like the theater experience is gonna make it better. I'm gonna tell you straight up, it's not going to. So don't buy it. Please don't buy it. Please don't fall for it. I have faith in you guys. Just don't fall for it. And I really don't have much else to say about this episode because like nothing happened. It's just so bad. So when they promised us scorched earth, they really meant scorched carpet because this happened all in one location, like most of the scenes in this season. So I'm not really like shocked. So I just watched the final episode of The Boys, the final series episode, and we'll get into it in a minute. I just wanted to take a moment to thank my subscribers who have signed up. We've picked up a lot of subscribers over the past couple weeks since I started talking about season 5 of The Boys, and I'm excited to have my channel growing. I'm hoping to get to 1K subs by the end of the month. I also have turned on membership, so you can sign up for my memberships. I don't know what I'm going to do for membership perks at this time. I'm open to suggestions in the comments, so comment below what you think I should do. And then you might also realize my voice sounds a little different. I bought myself a new mic, so it's a little different. I'm also kind of suffering from allergies still, so my voice is a little bit more nasally than normal. But I just wanted to take a moment to thank my subscribers and to say to people who are not subscribed yet to like and subscribe and leave a comment below. So now we'll talk about The Boys. So I watched the series finale of The Boys. I just finished it up, and it was the most mid thing I've ever seen. It's like aggressively mid. There was moments where I was just kind of bored. And I think that's kind of like, this was the best episode of the season, but that's not saying a lot because the bar wasn't exactly very high. And this is, I mean, to be fair, this is the best episode of the past 2 seasons. And again, not a very high bar to like go over. It's just a very low bar. Like the bar is in hell. It's almost impossible to not step over it. There was things that I liked, obviously, and things that I didn't like. But I think that this episode is kind of like a culmination of everything that was kind of wrong with this season. The past 2 seasons really is because we had a lot of things that kind of happened that didn't really matter like in the season as a whole. But I want to go over the things I like. So obviously I liked seeing Homelander get the shit kicked out of him and him begging like a beta bitch. That was good. We've had this threat built up for 5 seasons. It's nice to see him finally get taken out. So that was obviously a hype moment. I liked the cut to Ashley saying that she won, and then she gets impeached. The next cut that was actually really funny. I like that Ryan got his good ending. I'm happy that he did. And then outside of that, that's really kind of it. Like I said, this was like the only reason why the Homelander stuff works is because it's like the cathartic buildup for 5 seasons. And I want to remind folks that The Boys came out, in 2018, 2019. So this is almost a decade of watching this show and following these characters. So this is a cathartic kind of moment we've been building up to. I just wish that this moment was in a better show, because it kind of deserved it. So let's talk about why this was not as impactful as it wanted to think it was. So this whole episode, they wrapped everything up as quickly as they could, and it's very obvious. There's just a lot of things I actually didn't like. That's why I think it's mid, because it's the best episode in this season. But overall, it's like just mid. This whole season, you could have watched the first episode and the last episode, and you really wouldn't have missed much. Because Soldier Boy is, I guess he's just gone. Why did we even introduce him? We introduced him so we could fart around and, like, talk about fucking old ladies and promote Vought Rising. But he was incredibly inconsequential. Butcher could have gotten to the chest beam on his own accord. We didn't need to, like, tour around with Homelander and Soldier Boy. We spent so much time doing that for it to ultimately Soldier Boy not do anything. Wouldn't it have been more impactful if Soldier Boy was the one who blasted him, especially after Homelander has this whole hang up on the word father? Like, why Kimiko of all people? Like, out of all of the boys, she's kind of the least, over the course of the almost decade, 7 years that this show has been going on, she's kind of like the least impacted. Like, her biggest impact Homelander's had on her life is Frenchie in the last episode. So why Kimiko of all people? Like, have Soldier Boy come back and blast him and then take Soldier Boy out. Or have Starlight do it, who's been directly impacted by him, by the way. Wouldn't it have been more, like, thematically satisfying if it had been Soldier Boy or Starlight that had taken Homelander out, had blasted him with their chest ray? I just can't wrap my head around why Kimiko. And people are gonna say it's because she could heal or whatever, but Annie can also heal. She got, like, lit up with bullets too and has taken a ton of damage. And 2 is that, like, as the writer, you should be making things, like, feel thematically satisfying. Like, there's a better thematic story with Starlight doing it or Soldier Boy doing it versus Kimiko. Or have Ryan do it. Like, there's so many characters that you can use that would do it that feels more thematically satisfying than Kimiko. Kimiko just feels so random. I thought the end of Sister Sage was also really mid. Like, she's just stupid now and fucks off. It was so funny. Like, why did we introduce her last season? We introduced her, like, I don't even know. Why did we bring back Soldier Boy? That's, like, my biggest question that I have is, why did we bring back Soldier Boy? He didn't do anything. Soldier Boy's arc was come in, be really gross, say a lot of gross things, and then be put back into his cryo box after having a Batman v Superman moment with Homelander about Clara. And to set up Vought Rising. I mean, I know why they brought him back. It's set up Vought Rising, but, like, very unsatisfying. Why didn't we use the Gen V kids? Oh, make one of the Gen V kids have the superpower blast. We had 2 whole seasons and a bunch of information saying that they were going to be super relevant, and their last episode they got told to fuck off, and then next episode they get told to fuck off and go to Canada. It's why did we spend 2 seasons with them? Why did we do this Odessa Project thing with Marie Moreau? She didn't do anything. She got in a truck and left to Canada. What a waste. There's just so much waste. There's so much stuff that you could just skip and it wouldn't make a difference. And that's not a good show. This is how the show should have ended at season 3, with Homelander taking the blast from Soldier Boy, not Kimiko. And I don't know, you have the 4th season be Butcher's villain arc, because that was also incredibly rushed too. All of a sudden, you know, I understand that Butcher needed to die. Like, the whole arc in his character is dying at the end of this series. But the way they did it was just like Bush League. Like, I just think about all the time that they spent this season doing a bunch of nothing to take the final episode, just
wrap it up really quickly when they could have done the first 2 episodes the same. Soldier Boy comes back. The 3rd episode, Homelander gets the V1. The 4th episode, he starts going crazy. He sees the ghost. He wants to become God. The 5th episode, I fill in the blank. The 6th episode, you can have them planning to go to the White House, and they make the virus. So the first 2 episodes, they make the virus. The 6th episode, they're planning to infiltrate the White House. They spend all this time doing it. They get the V kids in with it. They go talk to Ryan. You know, they're making their team. Oh, well, we see Homelander, you know, getting all these psychics. It's going to be a huge battle. The 7th episode, we have our big Homelander battle, where at the end of the episode, they kill Homelander, or you could just have him get blasted with the beam at the end of episode 7. Cut to episode 8, and everybody we do like a wake up montage, and Homelander's trying to fly away. He wakes up before Butcher. As Butcher's waking up, we see Homelander jumping, trying to fly, and then they kill Homelander. And then you spend episode 8 doing Butcher's villain arc. You kill him at the end, and then the post-credit scenes, you do Huey's little, not taking his government job and doing his little audio-visual shop with his little, soup wife, and maybe he says to the president, here, do the Gen V kids as your soup affairs squad, because they are powerful and they can be useful. And I don't even get paid for this, and I feel like I've already written something that's thematically better than what we got, because we've cut out all the bullshit. I just think about the last episode when we spent all this time going to the church for they're doing the video for Homelander being Jesus and the butt sniffing. And I just think, why did we do that when there's so many other things we could have done? And, have Soldier Boy die too. So, Soldier Boy should have a moment in the episodes where he sacrifices himself to take out Homelander, because I think he should do the chest blast, or he should at least be the one holding him down. It should be him, Ryan, and Butcher holding him down when Homelander gets blasted. Because, again, Homelander has daddy issues, and his son telling him he's a prick hurt him, and his dad turning against him would hurt him, and that just makes more sense. And that's better than taking him out of the box to do nothing with him and then putting him back at the end for no reason. I just what was Soldier Boy's point? And the virus too just ended up being, I don't know, really a whole lot of wasted time. I get it's the thing for Butcher to be I'm gonna genocide all the soups, but we spent 3.5 episodes on it, and it ended up being kind of a big nothing burger. It just kind of, I'm just baffled. I'm just baffled by all the time that we spent doing this. I also kind of got tonal whiplash from Butcher's kind of descent into evil, because I can honestly fuck the show for showing this with Tara dying. You should never show the animals dying on screen like that. Fuck them. But it's kind of tonal whiplash that he goes from being fine. Ryan told him to fuck off. Okay, I don't really think he cares that Ryan told him to fuck off. But his dog dying of natural causes, which he knew would happen, is what incites him to want to kill all soups. What is the bridge what is the logical bridge there that makes Butcher want to do it? And it's crazy because we killed him the same way we were going to kill him in season 3. So why? I'm just baffled. I'm just trying to wrap my head around this. And there is a part of me that feels like a sadness that it's over, but it's not I'm happy. The end of Chainsaw Man, when I read the end of Chainsaw Man, I felt I was sad, but I was happy it was over. It's in South Park when Butters gets dumped by his girlfriend from Raisins. He's to Stan, who got dumped by Wendy in that episode, and Stan's gonna go gun up the school. Stan says to him, well, are you not sad and mad at the world? And Butters says, well, I'm sad, but I'm sad. And that is good because it reminds me that something made me happy. And that was me for Chainsaw Man. For this, I'm just sitting here thinking why did we do any of the stuff that we did? Because it ended up really not being for anything these past 2 seasons. I really do think you could watch the first episode and a half of this season and watch the last one, and I don't think you would miss anything. The only thing you would miss is Frenchie dying, but again, who gives a shit? it wasn't really a point. I mean, it was a point because it got Kimiko to have like the power of friendship and love. But on the same point, it's like the most inconsequential boy. I like when I said in my last episode of like when Neji died in Naruto. It's just like, oh, we need to kill somebody. So Frenchie, you're it. You drew the short straw. Why would Annie bring the deep to the ocean when she doesn't? She seems surprised by the fish killing the deep. Why would she bring the deep to the ocean? And why wouldn't she bring him to a power grid when her power is electricity? But it's because they need the deep to be killed by fish. But again, like when you're thinking about it, like logically, like why would she bring the guy who controlled the ocean life to the ocean? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, I get that they did it because they wanted to have that epic scene where he got a tentacle up his ass through his mouth and they're all saying justice for Ambrosia and say her name because I guess they found out about the octopus that he killed in the 3rd season, but I thought they were mad about the pipeline. We were promised Scorched Earth and we spent 7 years of Homelander teetering on the edge of like going crazy, and not one did Homelander go crazy. I feel like I've been gaslit by this entire series looking back on it. Homelander kills one person and it just is a billionaire, which is fine, like based. But I was promised Scorched Earth and I was promised in the posters like nukes going off everywhere, and instead I've got an off-screen kill by Homelander and the entire season him kicking his knees and kicking his legs and pouting while sitting in a chair while playing with his cape. Seriously, we've been gaslit by this series. Not once did Homelander go on a rampage. The most rampage we've had is like his imaginary mowing down of protesters. There was so much you could have done. It's crazy. This is funded by $1 billion maybe $1 trillion corporation in Amazon. And the best we get is like single location shots and empty hallways with 1 or 2 extras. If they knew they were coming, why didn't they put more people in the tunnel? It's there's just a lot of things that just didn't make any, it's just, this whole season was just, this whole kind of series was not, I wouldn't say it's a waste, because I liked up to the end of season 3, which I hate the finale of season 3. It's just, I'm looking back on this and I was like, what did we gain from this journey? What was the message? Like, what was the point? What did we learn? Stan Edgar, I guess, just is the CEO of VOD. He said that was gonna happen, but again, like the most uninteresting way to do anything. They wrapped everything up in the most uninteresting, boring, convenient way. Like, oh, father dying with the ball gag. Like, they set it up like 5 minutes before, and then he gets his head blown off from it. It's just like, I think it would have been nicer to see him turn on Homelander like Ashley did. I think that would have been more thematically relevant to Homelander's whole thing of being like everybody leaves him and throws him to the wayside, and no matter what he does for people, they all turn his back on him. It would have been nicer to see him, like, oh, father, turn his back on Homelander and help take him out. Why don't they have Supes protecting the White House? Well, because they just need them to get there. Their one trap was like an armored room with a soup whistle and guns. It's good lunacy. I will say I was like rooting for Ryan. I did like when he showed up and smacked around Homelander when he told him to fuck off, basically. Again, it's just, I'm kind of at a loss for words for how just like super mid it was. Like I'm just not, I'm just disappointed, I guess. This is disappointing, and it just reminds me of why I hate TV shows. It's also strange because Homelander's strong enough to laser Kimiko in half in episode 2, but this episode he can't do anything. Why is Homelander so weak all of a sudden? What did the V1 even do? Like, what was the point of the V1 journey? For him to become immortal? Like, he was already going crazy. We didn't need the V1 to make him think he wanted to be a god. He already wanted to be one. He already was going crazy. You could have just totally not have had the V1 plotline. It's just boggles my mind. I am at a loss. I am kind of speechless. There's so many things when you look back on, like, this season in particular, you're like, why did they do that? Like, what was the point of the V1? For Homelander to become immortal and then just get it blasted out of him? Like, why? Why did we spend 4 episodes 4.5 episodes trying to find V1. And they, like, for the V1 plot, they cut out at the most, like, exciting and interesting point where Homelander gets to V1 and episode 6 ends with what you're saying, run. And then they cut to episode 7 and this guy is making a fucking theme park after becoming immortal. You know, the big MacGuffin of the season is this V1. And it didn't change anything. Homelander's, like, weaker now that he has the V1. I guess he's just immortal. Like, that's it. It didn't make him go crazier. It didn't make him stronger. And it certainly didn't make him more sane. So what was the point of the V1? I don't get it. Especially considering all of the weaknesses we were shown for Homelander this season. Like, why were people even afraid of this guy? You could just breathe in his face with bad morning breath and he would knock the fuck out. And the other thing is you have this Soup saying he's like the god. Where are other countries? Where's the military? Where is everything? The show is so empty this season. Like, there's no other people outside of the main cast, the auxiliary fodder, the spam in a can, and, like, some other random extras. But everything is so empty. The world is so empty. Like, where are other people? The president got off. Some random guy took over saying he's God. Like, where's the Vatican? Where is any country? Like, crazy. It's not, like, this really did just go out like a wet fart. Again, I'm kind of at a loss for words for how mid it was. And I know Kiprick is all like, you know, people just don't get it. Like, no, you wrote like the most intensely mid thing I've kind of ever seen in my life. And this is someone who, like, I like bad stuff. Like, I am not someone who's gonna pretend like I have this high level, like, media consumption diet. Like, no, I like garbage and trash. Like, I like the Scream franchise. The worse the Scream franchise is, the better. I like Friday the 13th. I like Nightmare on Elm Street. But, like, at least those are entertaining. This was just boring. I was just bored. There was so many moments where I was just like, when are we gonna get to the part that I know is coming, like Homelander dying? And that part was good. I'll give him that. But outside of that, the build-up to this entire episode over this season, and even, again, last season, just sucked. It was just kind of a waste. I really think you could just skip all of season 4 and just watch the first episode and a half of the season, and then the last episode and a half of the season. So 1.5, and then half the ending of 7 into this. And I don't think you'll miss anything, because there is nothing that goes on in between then that is so important and plot relevant that you need to watch it. You can save a ton of time and you'll still get the same information, because Soldier Boy gets introduced, the virus gets introduced, and then you can cut to when Frenchie's trying to get Kimiko to have the laser, Frenchie dies, and then they kill Homelander at the end. What do you miss in the middle? You missed some butt sniffing and a bunch of sex jokes. And that was the other thing. When they were given Frenchie's eulogy, I just could not help but roll my eyes at just how annoyingly crass it was. Like, that is not something that this man wrote. This man that's actually been shown to be kind of deeply emotional throughout the series. Like, he would definitely not be writing and drawing their assholes, but I guess, like, the writers just can't help themselves. Between that and the butt sniffing last episode, I'm starting to think that it's the writers' barely disguised fetish, and not like things that the characters would actually do. I don't know why MM took Ryan. Why wouldn't his grandfather killed his grandfather? So even though I guess he called him a racist, so it's okay. But MM and Ryan don't know each other. They barely interacted in season 3. Why is MM adopting him? Why wouldn't he go with like Huey or Starlight or the Gen V kids? Like, Ryan's also he's like 17 or 18. Why? If you're gonna have MM and Ryan end up at the end of the season, why would Soldier Boy get more screen time than Ryan if you know that's the end game, especially if you know that Soldier Boy is going back in the box at the end? You don't need Soldier Boy to give Homelander the V1. You can figure out another way to get him the V1. The reason why Soldier Boy is here is for Vought Rising. But again, you're doing this thing that's kind of interesting with MM taking Ryan into his family, considering their history, but we don't see them interact, so why would he do that? There's no reason why Ryan would go with MM. Ryan says, Butcher, you're not a good guy. like, I hate to remind people, but none of the boys are good people. It's like very clearly stated that they're not good people, especially not the original ones like Frenchie, MM, and Butcher. Like, Huey is supposed to be the straight guy, so whatever. They all have torrid pasts where they're like special forces and stuff, and they've killed people by the dozen, like by the hundreds. So for Ryan to be like, Butcher, you're not a good person, but to go with Mother's Milk is just... It's just strange. Again, it's also strange because they've never interacted with each other. Maybe not never, but very, very rarely. So why of all people would he go with him? Doesn't Becca have a sister? Becca has a sister. Why wouldn't he go with his aunt and uncle? It doesn't even make any sense. It's so goofy. I sit here and I'm thinking, and I'm also like sweating so bad because it's so hot now. And I'm thinking like, what was this journey about? Like, you want your stories to have at least a journey in it. And the journey was killing Homelander, and that was it, because nothing really changed. Like, Vought is still a mega corporation who's gonna make soups and push out deadly pharmaceuticals, and that's it. The big bad was Homelander being toppled, but really, the big bad set up in season 1 and 2 is Vought as a corporation with Homelander as a part of that. Because Vought enables superheroes and makes superheroes, and superheroes can be bad, but yet they're still not being reined in. Stan Edgar goes back to being CEO, and we see what happened when he was CEO. I don't think much is changing. It's just, I don't know. That we had a point where, what episode 4 or something, 3 or 4, where MM says to Stan Edgar, if you become head of Vought, I'll come and shoot you in the head myself, and no payoff to that. I mean, maybe he was just talking out of his ass, clearly. We go right back to the status quo, and I just sit here and I wonder, why did we take this journey? Like, what did we as the viewers get out of it, besides entertainment for a couple of years? I don't feel like if I hadn't watched this show, or if I'd stopped at season 3, that I would be missing out. Like, this journey for the past 2 years has felt turbulent at best and a waste of time at worst. And it just makes me wonder what the point was. And as an audience member, there's nothing more unsettling when you watch something or read something than to get to the end of it and ask what the point was. Because again, we're back to the status quo. There is almost nothing that has changed. And that's a tragedy. Your story should not dead end like that. It should have more of a payoff than one guy died. So those are my thoughts. Like I said, this was very mid. I didn't think this episode was going to be episode was going to be as long. The video was going to be as long, considering I watched this and I was just kind of dumbfounded by how incredibly okay it was. Like, I'm not even mad. I'm just like trying to think here and think more about it. But I'll probably do like an autopsy of the fall for this series, from how it went to being one of the best like shows that you could watch to just being the worst thing to the most mid thing that you could watch. And again, like and comment and subscribe if you haven't, and let me know what you think below.